Hello, welcome back to a really long-awaited, or just any episodes of this podcast at this point. I feel like we have been really not being able to get everybody down and to even record any episodes. People's lives are really difficult, I guess. IRL is bad. We should all just
True.
transcend into funny little, Ciconia people, and then, smiles. Ryukishi, when are you gonna write me more Ciconia too?
Let us
What
all
is
just
happening?
become Ryukishi sprites and live in the meta world.
Yeah, true. That's honestly still better looking things than anything Meta could have possibly made.
Modern architecture.
Yeah. So welcome to this Furude Shrine episode. I am your every neighborhood mushroom. Today's episode, we will actually tackle the fact that I finally, after thousands of years, finally was sat down to read all of the Higurashi
Let's
VN.
go!
So it's very exciting. So introduce yourself, all the hosts.
Alright, hi. New year, kind of, not really, new me. I'm going by Aya now, so that's fun.
Ooh,
Let's
hooray!
go!
Hey.
It's very exciting.
I'm your favorite neck scratching Des.
It's me as Corey.
And I am Pokey.
Yay! Okay, very good. So today I was gonna say I was really worried that we had too many people, but this is probably a good amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I guess they've been Onikakushi the way.
whoa, clapping. Before we get into all of the chapters, we will talk about the parameter of today's episode. As a person who read all of Umineko and is a brain-dead Umineko person, this is the first time I actually sat down to read all of the VN. Which I mean by all of VN today is the 8 main arcs of Higurashi. I have not read anything else of any of the bonus arcs, so we will not be talking about that today.
But you've watched all of the anime besides the
Yes, I
sus
did
arcs.
watch all the anime, and I have watched some shitty OVA episodes, and I think I watched the child, the
Baby Rika arc?
pedophilia one. I don't fucking know.
Let's go, child nudity! Higurashi, thank you, Ryukishi!
My least
Yeah,
favorite
yeah.
part of this fandom.
What do you
Oh,
mean?
I-
It's children and they are naked! What else could you ask for? Thank you so much, Japan!
Dude, this one does back to jail.
Okay. Honestly speaking, I have at this point have accepted the fact that every single Japanese writer, you're either a pedophile or you're a cool based man, or you're both. So that is just what it is.
Maybe you're just a regular law-abiding citizen, but you have, to reach your yearly quota of child in circumstance media that you produce.
I think there's like a restriction in like just Japanese entertainment industry that just says that no one can ever just be fine with what you've written. Like you can never just write a based work with no issues. Like
Yes. So that means we will only be talking the main 8 arcs. And so no additional arcs. Also probably full Umineko spoilers because I will probably talk a lot about that.
Okay.
And also, we will be talking about the few episodes that Des sat me down to watch of Higurashi Sotsu and Go,
go.
which I haven't seen the whole show, but I've seen like 6 episodes in total, I think.
Yes, Mushroom has watched the ones that actually have content.
All 3 of them.
all three of them.
Yeah.
So she's watched the whole show.
Yes, so we'll be talking about those as well. But that will be the parameter of these about this episode. So yeah, so we're gonna talk about it one by one. So let's talk about Onikakushi Hen first.
Let's go. Onikakushi's so good. Oh my god. Just thinking about it. God damn.
Yeah. So, there's a few things I want to talk about Onikakushi Hen, is that I completely forgot the fact that, like, Keiichi just doesn't have a sprite for, like, the fucking 6, like
Until the
arcs,
5th.
and I'm
It's
like,
such a good shtick.
I love it in the cast reviews.
yeah, like, they all cast a reviews of, oh yeah, so, like, Onikakushi Hen, I thought was very solid. The thing that, like, actually surprised me the most of reading Higurashi is that I actually didn't hate all of the spice of life elements a lot, as much as everybody else hated it. I think there's other things to hate about Higurashi, like, or just to be mad, like, not hate. Hate is a strong word, but like to be mad about Higurashi. But like the slice of lives are okay. It's whatever. Like, you know, it's like it also like kind of ties very well into like thematically later. I don't know. I feel like I'm like Higurashi filled.
I think it's very important
Mm-hmm.
to the themes.
Yes, it's like very important for theme reasons and for character building, because like, you know, how could you see them at their worst when you don't see them at their best?
Without
And
love.
Keiichi voice acting, good stuff. You know, what like Ryukishi does very well, at least for like Arc 1, is like this the setting and to like write everything, like the ooh spooky, are they evil or are they not, but like, you know, of course I know they're not evil, which is what makes it fun. I do have to say this thing, like, I don't really have much to say about Onikaku Shihen. This is a problem that Yukishi gets worse and worse in his writing of all cast reviews, is that like Ryukishi right now is too scared you're too stupid to understand his plot, so he just has to handhold you in the all cast reviews where everybody just like says theories, and then you're like Ryukishi, you're being a like, I understand this is his first work, which is what is very enjoyable to read, like, you know, listen to his like saying like, ah, yeah, my work is horrible right now, and like I need to, like, I've been only sleeping 5 hours a day to write this and also go to my job. But it's kind of crazy to think of like this is his first work. Like, is there any specific things that happen in Onikaku Shihen that you like? I don't necessarily have much to say about it. I think all of my thoughts come like later into the story. I feel like the
Really?
first four is written fairly like tight is not the right word, but it's self-contained, and before like I feel like Ryukishi jumps the shark so hard that it becomes better somehow.
Interesting. I think
I know I like I have a lot of opinions about it. We haven't got to the part that it jumps the shark yet.
Yeah, but how do you not have a lot of things to talk about Onikashi? There's just so much
I feel-
happening there.
Well, yes. I mean, I think like, how do I say this? Like, I think for me, for Onikaku Shihen, is like it's just done very well. Like at the, like that's actually my opinion. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's kind of hard for me to like basically parse out my like exact thoughts about it, because like, how do I say this? Like, Ryukishi does such a good job like setting up scenes like of like Keiichi being paranoid. Scenes are done very well.
Mhm.
Like, that's what I really like about
And then
like,
disappearing and listening to the whole conversation.
it's so fascinating to me because like Ryukishi talks about this a lot in his later works about how he's like, I want to take you on a funny roller coaster ride when 1 minute you're laughing and the next minute you're like fucking shitting your pants, like whatever that means, right? And then like and I feel like he doesn't actually do that anymore as much as he does in Higurashi itself. Like, Higurashi is seriously just like, Keiichi is having a fun time having normal human conversations. Oh no, he's like thinking about how he's gonna totally bash his friend's brains in, and like in such a smooth thought process that you're totally 100% on board. Like, that's what I really like about it.
Do you have a specific example of that from the top of your head?
I think like there's a lot of scenes where like what I really like about like the build up about that is that in the Onikaku Shihen, like Keiichi's like, oh shit, there's something wrong with him after they give him the ohagi and he's like getting sick, right? And like I think like in a way like you would immediately think like, oh, this is when he snaps and he's gonna kill his friends, but like it doesn't go like that way. Like, he goes to class and he goes to school and he like hangs out with Rena, being like, oh, she's totally my friend, and then immediately is like, no, she's not. Like, and like in a way like it's like such a fascinating thing that happens, because like it gives me a very like, how do I say this, like when did Sayano Uta came out? It came out after this? I recently made somebody in my life read Sayano Uta, and they were very unhappy about it because they completely forgot about my very cool warning, which is reading the censored version. So they read this uncensored version. And, oh yeah, it came out in like 2000. It came out, what? Am I fucking crazy? no way it came out 2013. Anyway, it has a very perfect like brain thoughts of being like, I'm totally trying to pretend to be normal, but like there's something incredibly wrong with me. Like the whole like, how do I say, like peering into the future. Like Ryukishi does this twice in Act 5, EP 5 and EP 6 of Umineko, where he basically not front loads, but like he basically tells you like, this is what's gonna happen in the ending. Like look forward to that happening, and then like, you know, it's like a flash forward and then a flashbacks. And we're never, one day when we get to EP 6 of Umineko, I'm gonna talk about how much I hate that the EP 6 does that. Like I think it's unnecessary. But however, it's incredibly done very well in Higurashi, because it's you know, it's a tone setter. Like you know what to look forward to, because you know, if you were in 2002 and you just bought this game, you're like, when the fuck is the girls gonna kill each other? Like you don't even know what you're like in for yet. Like basically, like, you know, you're like, what is happening here?
Well, you've either bought the game or Ryukishi has fucking given it to you for free, because that was his marketing strategy, was just giving away the goddamn game at Comic-Con.
Please read my
It's
game.
still free on Steam.
Oh, right, it is free on Steam.
My favorite thing about like Ryukishi, like that's what I mean by like the fun thing about me reading Higurashi is that while I was reading Higurashi, I also read a bunch of additional interviews with Higurashi about like his time making the game in 2002 and like
Mr. Higurashi.
Yes. And the thing about it is that like he talks a lot about the fact that he's like, yeah, I've been just like I have a mailing list, and like please tell me your thoughts about like how it is, and like in a way this is my very funny thoughts about how Higurashi is just like Homestuck. Is that,
Oh my God.
or not really? I don't really subscribe to that belief, but it is a funny tagline to say. But like how responsive his work right now is, like in Higurashi specifically, like to the fans and their opinions of the work. So like that's what I really like about Onikakushi again. I think like right now I'm a little bit like, you know, jumping forward to talk about like my future thoughts on future arcs, but like I feel like some of the future arcs gets really, really bloated not because of like what he's writing is not good, but like Ryukishi has the really, really funny thing that he likes to do, which is he loves repeating things. And he likes to write a really, really long, like Des and I talk about this a lot in like Higurashi, like in Umineko, where he's like, if Ryukishi says, and then the adults argue for an hour about money, and you're like, this is when a normal novel or a normal show would just, you know, fade to black and it says an hour later. But no, Ryukishi's like, I will write out the whole hour of argument, and if you read it, it's gonna take you a whole.
And I love that he does that. I love that.
Yeah, like if you read it, it's gonna take you a whole fucking hour to read it, or even more.
I given a fuck. That's the Ryukishi experience. That's why Umineko is so unique.
Yeah,
That's true.
I think that I don't want to jump ahead too much, but I think that bloatedness can work, especially in Tatari Goroshi, the third arc, where you just get bloated with so much horror, existential, household abuse. It's just
okay. I'm excited to talk about Tatari Goroshi when we get there.
Yeah.
But that is basically like that's my like overall thoughts about like Onikakushi. Like I think Onikakushi in a way is like a very good first introduction and very tight. Like it has everything it needed. That's just what I mean. Like as in like it like sets up a bunch of things. It like, you know, introduce all these characters and like, you know, focuses on like specific people, and in a way becomes like a very good like reflection of like later things that would happen. And also I love how sus like Mio, like not me like Mio shows up for like 2 seconds, and like she's just like, there's that woman, and you're like, cool, she looks sus as fuck, and you're like, bye Mio, and then she just disappears.
I don't even think she has a sprite in Onikakushi.
She doesn't even have a sprite in Onikakushi. That's so the weird. Like they just mention her.
It's like, hi Mia-san. Wait,
she didn't have a sprite in the original Onikakushi?
No.
No.
she doesn't have
Whoa.
one in the
No.
PS3 version either.
What? Yes, she does.
Yeah, speaking of, which sprites did you read it with, Mushroom?
Okay, so of course, as a Ryukishi lover, I have decided that this time I will read it in Ryukishi sprites.
Yes, Rena Cat Paw supremacy.
Yes.
Ryukishi sprites are like such a good time because like Ryukishi, like how I like to describe it is Ryukishi draws everybody friend shaped. So
Friend
like
shaped.
it's
They
like,
are all shaped like
it's like look at her funny like hands and look at her funny like face. It's like everything is so friend shaped. I mean, I don't know. I am like for Umineko, I really like reading it in PS3 because I feel like that's like I know the PS3 sprites are really pretty, but like I feel like if I'm reading Higurashi, I want to like have the authentic like this is a man who's like writing this at 3 o'clock in the morning in his dirty ass fucking room. Like
Yeah.
I love the shot where you see like Ryukishi's room where he's like, and then you're like this is like the I really want to make the meme which is this like the bitch you live like this. It's just like Ryukishi's room. I'm like how do you not trip and die?
I agree that Ryukishi sprites and especially the original backgrounds work extremely well in Higurashi's favor because it gives
Agreed.
you that vibe of like the whole VN takes place in a dark hallway at 3 o'clock in the morning. In 2003. It's so
Yeah, no, it's truly you are welcome to the back rooms. Like reading Higurashi is like go visiting the back rooms. That's how I feel about reading Higurashi. It's like I go visit the back room and I meet this weird looking Japanese man who's like I've been here for 25,000 years now and I've been writing these funny little child children. Like look at this and I'm like no Ryukishi, please stop. Is how I feel when I'm reading Higurashi.
you get lost in a stray alleyway in Japan and a social worker in his mid-30s reaches up to you and says, "Hey, have you heard of time loops?" hands you a copy of Onikashi.
And then from exhaustion, he falls unconscious like a puppet with its strings cut.
True.
I've been waiting. You beat me to it somehow.
But like there is no real alternative. Like in Umineko, the PS3 sprites at least are like very high quality experience. Like the PS3 sprites of Higurashi are, in my opinion, like
They could be better.
they could be better. And also the what are they? The pachinko sprites?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
the pachinko part. Oh no.
They're still better than Umineko's.
Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I also think about like I also like okay to just talk about my thoughts about like PS3 sprites of Higurashi for a little bit is that like I don't fucking like the look of Rika. I think she looks stupid. What the fuck is this? Why does she look like that?
Oh
Like,
my god, have you seen Akasaka's fighting sprite in PS3?
No.
This man looks so...
I don't think I have
Oh
either.
my god, Akasaka. First of all, Akasaka looks like a twink in PS3, and then... I'm a twink, I can say this.
I didn't know that twink is now a slur.
He has a different sprite in the PS2.
Where the fuck is the fighting sprite? Oh my god! I just mistakenly walked into the maze sprites and I had a heart attack. What the fuck is this? Sorry, Mushroom. You were gonna say?
I was just taking about Oishi is so good in the Higurashi sprite version because he gives off the mild like hello young
Moshi
boy.
moshi?
Like it's just so concerning.
Keiichi-san.
Walking the perfect fine line of is this man a good person or a bad person?
Yeah.
The answer is
Yeah.
he's a person.
Answer, cop.
Cop. Exactly.
Those are the three options. Good person, bad person, cop.
Okay, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Akasaka's fighting sprite in PS3, but I'm about to post it. Look at this
I'm so excited.
man-made horror of a sprite.
The Higurashi sprite is really funny to me.
Why does he look like Jackie Chan?
Oh my god, he looks like Jackie Chan!
He looks like wait. Let me look.
He's busting.
Jackie Chan adventure. I'm gonna go look up.
First of all, goddamn, that spine is asking for help
Oh my god.
in the original sprite.
We have to include this in here now because it's very important. The man looks like Jackie Chan Adventure. I'm not even fucking kidding you.
Oh my god, Akasaka! So this is where you've been, away from Hinamizawa!
Like a show that I actually somehow watched like all the seasons of and I want you to know the most ridiculous thing about Jackie Chan Adventure is that Jackie Chan Adventure in the Jackie Chan is not actually voiced by Jackie Chan.
What?
Oh, damn.
They couldn't get him
Oh my
for
God.
his own show.
No, it's like I think it's because they were like because he's supposed to be younger and like he also like he speak like I guess they didn't think he speaks English well enough. I don't fucking know. I have zero idea. But like he's just not voiced by Jackie Chan. He's voiced like a different dude.
That's so upsetting.
But Jackie Chan shows up at the end of every episode. But yeah, that's Akasaka is right here.
Mushroom, I have a question. Since you're from Jackie Chan Land, what the fuck does Konwon mean?
What?
The thing that the old man from Jackie Chan says, he's always like, Konwon. What the fuck does that mean?
I really wish I know what it is. I know he's like when he's like putting his hands together. I think it's like a Buddhist thing. I don't fucking know, man.
What?
I don't.
You live in the same country though.
Wait, so you also watched Jackie Chan Adventure? I don't even know who watched this show. This is like
I've
aired.
never seen this show.
I watched it occasionally. It was on PBS, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
The public broadcasting station, for those of you who are not in America.
I'm so glad our international viewers. I guess Des is one of our international
Yeah,
viewers.
it was also transmitted on our television. I'm aware of the thing.
Yeah, I watched Jackie Chan's Adventure somehow in China, so I don't know how that happened.
We kind of blew past a couple of things in Onikakushi.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Higurashi. That's right.
Oh yes, yes. What?
I didn't want to interrupt you while you were cooking mushroom.
Yeah. Welcome to our Adventures of Jackie Chan podcast.
I wanted to.
Episode
Oh
1.
yeah, so what you wanted to talk about Onikakushi Hen? I will. If you ask me questions, I definitely have thoughts.
Okay, I wanted to go back briefly to talking about the what's it called? The after, not the secret tea party, not the tea party, but the all cast review.
The all-cast review session.
Honestly, I think the all cast review was very cool. It is kind of sucky that like they throw out all the options like it doesn't have the same line of suspense that Umineko does about like really doubting yourself about the truth of this mystery. But I really like you said, there's some audience integration. There's a poll from people who, from the demo, thought whether it was a demon, a curse, or like.
Oh yeah, that's
People,
what
yeah.
I really like. He talks about how the beta version of the story and how he's like, oh yeah, do you think she's evil? They're evil or not? And like I like really enjoy that. That is like I think the like every part of Higurashi. Like I described this to like Des while I was reading this as it's like the most like ridiculous version of a work in progress I've ever read in my life, which is like
Yes.
like you could read like there is like active improvements in things Ryukishi learns at every step of his way that he puts into Higurashi that you could see like I don't know how to explain this in a way that is like very obvious, but like Higurashi is such a like special piece of work where a lot of writers write their first book and their first book is a bang out hit and then they're like it's incredibly good and like incredibly polished. But like this is you are like people really like AKB48 because they could watch the idols grow up. Like I feel like I'm watching Ryukishi grow up right now. Like man, like you could see like every single thought in his brain forming and he writes in Higurashi that he like later on like employs in like rethinks about his thoughts in like Umineko. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I think the all-cast reveal session is like the most obvious way that he does that. Because that's also I when I was going through Higurashi, I absolutely hated the all-cast reveal session because it completely took me out of the experience. But then like you can see that like in Umineko he just took that and made it extremely diegetic with the narrative.
it's so important for setting up the tea parties in Umineko. Like, it gives them so much more context.
I know. It's fun because this is like it's fun to read Ryukishi work like Higurashi to be able to see like you could see his roots. Like you could see where every single thing he wanted to develop.
He talks about magic versus
magic versus
realism.
Realism, like the whole like fantasy elements, like all of the unreliable narrative of like your own perception, the things you're seeing is not what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Like the idea of doubt and like the seeds of doubt, like all of the and even message bottles. Like I didn't even talk about the fact how man is so fucking crazy. He just wrote like the most gibberish sentence in the end of his fucking. He's like, this is going the clock, and he comes up to his. Okay, actually, I want to talk about this a little bit, and since we're talking about Onikakushi, there's two things that I find that very fascinating about Ryukishi is that like I think like Ryukishi sows like puts a lot of seeds down, but he doesn't know what they're gonna pay off yet, and I think it's kind of sad to me because like I genuinely really enjoy the conceptual idea that Keiichi was a school shooter in the making, and also having Shion and Mion. However, I don't think either of these thoughts have entered Ryukishi's brain yet when he is writing Onikakushi.
Okay.
I don't think like he thought Shion is Mion yet, but like it doesn't really matter in this one that specifically. But like the Keiichi, the school shooter in the making, is just not a thought he has come up with, and it would have been really cool to like have
I think it has to be in some capacity because that's the whole reason they moved to Hinamizawa.
I think that Ryukishi had like figured out that he wanted Keiichi to have like some kind of like checkered history or something, but he hadn't figured out maybe specifically that he would be a school shooter in the making. Like,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's also what I think. Like, I think Ryukishi knew that he came here for a reason, but not like so. Okay, the reason why I mentioned this is because there's two specific scenes in Onikakushi that could have been a really good setup for it. That I was like, oh, they didn't end up doing it probably because Ryukishi haven't thought about it. Because the first thing is they actually do the shooting game in the first.
In the Watanagashi,
the Watanagashi festival. And I was like, oh, that would have been a really good setup for either Keiichi to be like, I don't want to shoot because I don't like guns anymore. Or but like, I'm really good at shooting. Like either of those options could have been a good setup for it, but he just doesn't like it's kind of like a blow by thing that happens. And I was like which could have been a very cool setup. Yeah. And the second thing is, Keiichi literally walks up to his parents and been like, hey, if I die, look behind my clock. Like, if his parents knew that he was that depressed, which they actually do talk about in Act 6 or something, or later acts, like when they're like in the notes section, whatever, what are they called?
The tips.
The tips in the tip section where they talk about the fact that like he's like, oh yeah, my son was like super fucking depressed and he's thinking about all these sad thoughts, so I'm gonna uproot my whole family to move to the village side because I think this will be better for him. Like all of those things would have been like really good setup if they were like, oh yeah, and my parents were really concerned but they decided not to ask anything. But like I feel like the mom reaction is a little bit too casual to like have been like, it's like it comes off as like, oh, Keiichi silly, what are you talking about? You're not gonna die tomorrow. Like instead of being like, oh my god, is my son being suicidal? Like I don't know how to say that. Like
I get your point, but this is also the same person who hears Keiichi being like, Mom, how should I go about committing a murder? And she's just like, well, just don't get caught, kiddo.
That's exactly what I was gonna bring up.
She just answers the questions.
Like, I think Keiichi's mom is just kind of like, you know what? I don't know how to help you, so I'm just gonna be there if you ask for it. Like,
Keiichi's mom knows they're all gonna die anyway.
Keiichi's mom is actually just Rika too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I truly believe that there's something magical happening with Keiichi's mom and dad. If his dad is not magical, how was he able to see Hanyu? Is it because of the power of pedophilia makes him be able to see tiny girls running around on the field? I don't know, magic, I guess.
The magic of lollies.
Magical lollies, exactly. So I feel like that. I feel like Is there any other thoughts that people want to like talk about Onikakushi Hen or anything?
I have a few.
Okay, go for it.
I have a couple.
A very quick thought is I just think, like, compared to the anime, it's so important to have Keiichi's internal monologue. That's my quick
Oh,
thought.
100%. 100%. I enjoy Keiichi's monologue. Keiichi's funny. I'll talk about how I think Keiichi is funny because, like, I'm not that I'm gonna walk out of here being a Shion hater, but which I am not exactly. But like thoughts that Shion's having is not funny. But if you give those thoughts to Keiichi, they're hilarious. That's my
Because he's
personal
a
thing.
doofus.
I like Keiichi's characterization.
I think
I'll let you go on, but like basically,
Yeah.
I was trying to show it to my friends, and they were like surprised that Keiichi is, in their words, an egghead. He's like smart, but it's like he's not the person you expect.
I think the single like most important bit compared to the anime to have Keiichi's monologue is just the flash forward at the beginning hits so much harder in the end.
Yes.
Especially because you don't know exactly what's happening. It's just it's literally just there for shock value in the anime, but it's like this very like well thought out emotional scene.
Yeah, but like it's very emotional. Wait. I forgot to talk about something incredibly important that's in Onekakushi Hen. The copyright free music.
It's so good.
I listened to it with the PS3 soundtrack.
But it's
so-
actually good.
Is it?
It
I haven't heard
is.
it.
It's
There's like that. What's it called? Boy in a Windmill. It's so nostalgic.
it's so funny. I will forever never be able to forget the fact that Dai read Ryukishi's novels and was like, "Hey, dude, I thought your novels are pretty cool, but you really need some help with your music. You suck." And then Ryukishi writes back, says, "Okay, then do you what would you do then?" And then Dai sends him his sound files, and then he's like, "Bitch, I'm in." And then goes on and writes basically all of the most iconic pieces of music of Higurashi.
I think,
in
if I
Umineko.
remember correctly, in that letter, it wasn't just the music choice; it was also the mixing. So I like
the
to
sound
imagine
cueing.
at some point in original Higurashi, you just have like the lowest volume OST exploding to the most eardrum piercing piece of music you've ever heard.
And the cicadas.
Oh my god, the mixing is absolutely fucking garbage. I forgot which it happens, but at a certain point, there's two sound files playing at the same time, two pieces of music.
What?
And is that a glitch or something?
He programmed
it,
one of the sound effects as a music file, so it repeats as
Oh no.
a really high pitched one of the horror sounds.
Oh my
And
god,
I'm
really?
what the? Also, the fact of there's no sound cues. So for example, in Umineko, when later on, when you're a door opens, there's a door opening noise, or there's some it's a kutcher, it's all these basically onomatopoeias of things, and
Yeah.
or there's honking of the horns or something, which in a normal VN or even in Ryukishi's work, horns would come up, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
You're just sitting there being this is really fucking weird.
As someone who has deeply explored Umineko files, I can tell you there are at least 5 different glass shattering sound effects for when you're in the venue. I don't remember how many there are, but it's somewhere between 5 and 8.
Ryukishi says, "Welcome to my lair. When you bring a girl home and you're sit down, I want you to listen to all 5 of my prize
Yes,
glass
yes.
shattering noises."
These are my 5 favorite glasses. Watch as I break them in different ways.
Did you know that in Umineko files, every background image is repeated?
What, there's just 2?
Yes, every background image is repeated.
Are they different file types, I think?
No, it's just on the same file, like the images. They're all repeated. I don't understand why.
Alright.
My other favorite thing about that, all of his background is that you could see that some of these backgrounds are not even nighttime, that he has to Photoshop them to look like night, and that he puts a shitty filter over it, and then basically puts 2 round airbrushed two light bulbs, like light sources. I like it's like one of the like the city walking ones that I like saw.
Yeah, my man couldn't afford to stay in Shirakawa-go for a whole day to take pictures at night. I understand.
I think my other main thought on Onikakushi is that I really like the horror in Onikakushi. I think it and Tatari have like some of the better horror in Higurashi.
Yes.
Just in terms of like the downward spiral Keiichi goes on by just slowly losing his goddamn mind.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Also, a lot of it is that this is the debate chapter. This is where
this is where the debate happens.
Like Ryukishi leads you in with like, oh look, it's like a cute dating sim or something, and then nope, it's actually horrific. Is what a lot of people got hit by when Higurashi first came out.
Yeah.
Now everyone knows. Like, I could not imagine going into Higurashi without knowing it's at least a time loop.
Now it's sort of the opposite, where you go in and the first scene is like that flash forward to the sound of like something getting squished, maybe a watermelon, who knows.
Eat that watermelon. Eat that
you're
watermelon.
like, oh, it's horror.
This is my first and last bouquet to you. Smashes a watermelon.
And then it jumps into Uno and Clue Simulator.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff, like, it can't be skipped. Like I was saying, I was trying to show friends Higurashi.
Right.
And you can't just skip to the good part and say, okay, now pretend that you saw a bunch of scenes that made all these characters endearing.
Yeah.
True.
I think it's very weird that Onikakushi is like Onikakushi, and I'll talk about this a little bit when we get to Watanagashi. Like, early Higurashi suffers a lot from being a time loop, but that's physically impossible for Onikakushi. Like, a lot of people struggle to get to Tatari, where, like, the pacing kind of picks up because they're done with introductions and stuff. And so a lot of people just drop off once they see that, oh, it's just a bunch of slice of life for 10 hours! Like, and I get that, but, like, it's so important. And it's also good. Like, it's fun, it's endearing, I like it, like...
So do you want to get into Watanagashi and say your thoughts on Watanagashi
Maybe
now?
just, like, one more thing about that flash forward, because, Mushroom, you did mention, like, you thought that it's wasn't done as well in Umineko. And I think that the flash forward at the very begin, or, like, I guess it's technically only a flashback after you hear, like, Keiichi's inner monologue. That's the best, like, use of en media res, I think it's pronounced, in When They Cry.
Yeah, no, I also agree. I think this is probably the best one. I have a lot of opinions about the ones on Umineko. I don't like the fact that they do it both in EP 5 and 6. And I think the one in EP 5 is very well done, and the one in EP 6 is kind of like, ooh, watch Erica being a weird perv. Like, it's like the thing that I actually really like. Sorry to go a little bit on EP6 thoughts, but my thoughts about EP6 is I think EP6 would have been better if you thought Battler had the upper hand and then have a drop, basically being like, oh yeah, like you got played this whole time, because then your whole EP6 experience is clouded by the fact that you know that Erica is going to get married with him and that it's going to be weird and pervy, but like, and instead of like actually writing the high that Battler feels that he's writing, supposedly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's we'll get there to my EP6 thoughts. And EP6 is my favorite Umineko arc, so, you know, whatever. And so is that the end of Onikakushi's thoughts now?
I got to do this for everyone. I got to talk about the difficulty, because it's one of the most interesting parts when I was first getting into When They Cry, that Onikakushi's difficulty is extremely high. And you don't know what that means. And, I think that holds up. I couldn't figure out Onikakushi at all.
I think it makes sense because it's the first.
Really?
Yeah, because you don't have anything else to base your theories on. It's just that it's not like if you've read Umineko before and you already have like an understanding of what Ryukishi does, and then you go to Higurashi. Like, no, you're just starting there. You have no idea what this man writes.
You're on your first date with Ryukishi, and he's and you know he's hard to please. You're hard to please. You know, you don't really know each other yet. It's very hard. Like, that's what I think a lot about. Like, how do I say it? Like, Ryukishi work and how you approach them. Like, I feel like each of these stories, you're going on a trip with Ryukishi, and you're like, Ryukishi, you showed me your cock, and I show you
Wait,
yours.
what?
And then this is like, I don't know how to explain.
What the fuck, Mushroom?
It's okay. Sorry, this is a very random thing that my friend and I would say, which we would just be like, Ryukishi, show me your cock, and the cock is Umineko and Higurashi. That's my point. He's not showing me your cock.
What a magnificent cock, Ryukishi.
No,
Please send me more dick pics.
It's okay. Cock is not what I'm trying to describe. Okay, it's like when he's tearing his heart out for you. I guess his heart is his cock, or not really. That's not my point. The point is that he's
I strongly encourage you to change your metaphor.
This is the analogy of all time.
He's like Ryukishi. Every piece of work, Ryukishi is trying to be vulnerable and trying to say something about himself, and also about the thoughts he has. And that's what I like, and which just becomes a huge like thematic thing in Umineko. But like in Onikaku Shihen, you don't know him. You don't know him. You don't know what the fuck he likes to write. It's incredibly hard. That's it. Of course, I feel like it's very hard now to walk into Higurashi being a person who has never been spoiled by anything, and I think everybody walks into Higurashi because they know know that it's gonna get fucking buck wild. But the thing that I like the most about Higurashi is that this is his first work. This is his serious first work that he considers, and it's actually fascinating for me because Higurashi, the way how Higurashi is written is very tedious in a way, and a very excessive. And I think it actually comes from the way how Ryukishi thinks of all of his works as plays, and that's also why he thinks of in my play there's players and there's actors and actresses, and that's why they come reoccurring in my stories, and that's why I write
that's why they have after parties.
And they have after parties, and they come up and they have omakes, in general, that. But I mean, omake is very, very popular in lots of other media, or lots of other stories. But Ryukishi is the one who commits to that idea of how he he wanted to write a play and he didn't. He wanted to write Bus Stop. I haven't read Bus Stop yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. But it shows up in Ryukishi's writing of how he does it, and that's what my thoughts about why it's hard. I guess has nothing to do with a penis.
You let us down, Mushroom.
I'm so glad that I have been forgiven.
Okay, this was a very entertaining metaphor for a lesbian.
Exactly, very true. It's yeah, how many cocks have you seen in your life, Mushroom?
So, Watanagashi?
Real quick,
Watanagashi.
I do just want to have my piece that I think, before we move on, that the PS3 sprites are mostly fine for me. I think, the Ryukishi sprites are nice, they are friend-shaped, they do have potato hands, I love them, but it's also just a little harder for me to get, used to them than the Umineko Ryukishi sprites.
Yeah.
Because they feel a little less polished, whereas Umineko's being less polished gives them a lot more charm to me. Wait,
what was your point? Which ones are the more polished ones?
I like the PS3 sprites personally for Higurashi.
Yeah, but you were saying my confusion was, did you say the Higurashi original sprites were more polished than Umineko ones, or the other way around?
I think the Umineko PS3 sprites are more polished, but still.
Oh, the PS3 ones. Okay.
No, the Umineko, I cannot speak. The Umineko, original sprites for Umineko, I think, are more polished than the original Higurashi sprites.
Okay, so here's where my experience at drawing Umineko sprites comes in. Umineko sprites are so much fucking easier to draw than Higurashi. In Higurashi, Ryukishi decided, yes, all hair will have gradient, and then that just makes it so much harder.
That's fair.
Honestly, though, I cannot stop thinking about Renove original sprite. I don't like that sprite at all.
Hold up, I don't think I've ever seen Renove original sprite. I'm gonna look into this.
So, Watanagashi.
What's her name?
Yes, Watanagashi.
I think to keep us on track, it might be good if maybe we go through everyone and just each give one general thought to talk about, so that we can just keep us on task, maybe.
Okay.
No, yes, yes.
We did spend 40 minutes on Onikashi.
Well, and maybe if we do this correctly, we could do half and half. So we do first 4 arcs this episode,
Sure.
and then we do the next 4 arcs next
Yes,
episode.
more content. Let's go.
I have a question. Do we really have that many thoughts
I have
on the
oh,
Mahjong killing chapter?
Wait. Wait. Oh, I have thoughts on mahjong. I'm a certified mahjong player, but anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That
I
is
am.
the only part of a Ryukishi VN I've skipped.
My favorite thing about not to jump ahead to talk about the mahjong arc, but my favorite thing about the mahjong chapter is Ryukishi, a man who couldn't shut the fuck up about anything he ever talks about in any piece of media. Like, man would just be like Hempel's Raven, and then go on like a fucking 5-page tangent about what the fuck Hempel's Raven is,
And not even correctly.
and not even correctly, or talk about Schrodinger's cat. Man decides, yes, I will write a mahjong chapter, and then just not explain anything that's happening in it at all.
Yeah.
And this is like from like a mahjong craved mahjong brain man. Like, as in, like, this man is playing like Japanese mahjong. Like, I play Chinese mahjong and I play amount of Japanese mahjong, but like it's not my preferred thing to play, which means it's more points and it's more like, and I'm like, what the fuck were you on? Like Ryukishi, what were you talking about?
Wait.
Like, how would you think that this would like connect with audience? Like, what is this?
I think he
Anyway.
I think he tried to write it like a club scene, but like I only care about Akasaka and Oishi there. So like the rest of the characters are just nothing to me for like the mahjong scene.
Having a mahjong scene and not explaining anything is very Killer 7 core, if you've ever played that. Because that has a mahjong scene, and like I don't understand how it works, and people who play mahjong don't understand how it works.
It didn't explain like Daifuga or Millionaire or Tycoon or whatever you want to call it in Onikashi either,
What?
so
What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't think he did anyway, because it was kind of just like, Keiichi wins a lot. Go.
She wins a lot. Watanagashi is the Shion Mion whole thing, which I think I think Watanagashi Hen is done is what basically hooks people in it. I deeply remember this Higurashi tweet that I read about this, or not, it wasn't a tweet, it was like a Reddit post about people being like, is Higurashi anime good, or like, is Higurashi anime better, or Umineko anime is better, basically, and or worse, basically, and everybody replied with Umineko anime is worse. And my favorite replies I ever read for that specific post was somebody wrote, I would like to propose that Higurashi anime is 100 times worse than Umineko, is because Umineko anime is so bad that you would just go get to read the VN to be to find out what it's actually about. But Higurashi anime tricks you into thinking that it's a better anime than it is, and then it makes you never be able to read the VN in the first place.
Yes.
And I think about that a lot. And that's and I think Higurashi is the type of anime that you watch when you're 15 or 13 and you're like, this is deep and I'm so cool and I understand how this works. And it's crazy to me to think about that, because a lot of people favorite anime, they're like, my favorite anime is Higurashi, and it's like, you have just read a Spark Note version of what Ryukishi wrote. And not saying I am, honestly speaking, not even sure if I'm on the hype train of saying the VN is a masterpiece or whatever, but the thing that I love most about Higurashi is that Ryukishi's really, really good at writing specific beats. When I think about Umineko, I think about overarching themes, and overarching things that happen, and every single thing that happened in it I really like. But in Higurashi, I could just think about this scene. This scene is done masterfully. This is I see it as scene by scene, and then the rest that I just think of, it just kind of tumbles off of my brain it's some kind of smooth water. But the specific scenes that ties it together are very, very great. Watanagashi is very fun because this is the arc where you get to meet Shion and Mion, and I love the way how this is where Ryukishi thinks a hard about gender now. Ryukishi's yes, gender thoughts. I'm acquiring them right now, and that And I also really like Ryukishi does a lot of very good subversions about like the whole like these are twins is that like it's Keiichi instead of being a normal person being like yes these two are twins, Keiichi's is like yes I'm the master of overthinking, so Shion and Mion must be the same person, and Mion is trying to rom-com me
But she
into
is.
thinking
A
that
crazy
she's Shion.
takeaway.
Like, you know what I mean?
But that,
Right? I mean, like, the first
Okay,
time that
that's true.
Keiichi runs into someone who introduces themselves as Shion, it's Mion.
For like half of the chapter, that is the truth.
Yes. No. I mean, yes, but like, that's what my favorite thing about this is that like, so like I like because like they introduced the idea that Keiichi loves to overthink. Like he's like the master of overthinking.
It's not overthinking. It's the natural conclusion. Imagine.
Well, no. I'm not saying.
Let her cook.
Like,
Imagine you've known this person for not a long time, but like a significant amount of time for it to be weird if they've never mentioned they have a twin sister, and then suddenly you meet someone who looks exactly like someone you know and introduces themselves in the middle of some romantic tension going on between you two. You're not just gonna assume, yes, this person definitely has a twin sister she's never told me about.
Okay,
like, that's
but...
no.
Especially because the first time, again, like, that is Mion at the Angel Mort Cafe or whatever.
The first 3 times, right?
Yeah, whatever it was. Anyway, and then, like, only after that does Shion come, and that's when it gets weird that Keiichi doesn't notice that there's a complete personality shift going on here. Like, he runs into someone that is Mion, and then calls himself Shion, and then runs into someone that is Shion, calls himself Shion.
Yeah. My man is not at fault.
well, I'm not saying he's at fault. Okay, so this is what the fascinating thing part about this is that so one of my favorite very scenes character setting scene between Keiichi and Satoko is the scene where they are talking about like overthinking and how like how Keiichi likes to overthink, and like how like Satoko has like that 3 cards on her hands, and it just says like one of this card says that you're an idiot or something, like, you know what I mean, and like the rest like doesn't say it or something. I'm not butchering the scene, but like basically like Keiichi like takes all the cards, I think, and and basically because he's like yes like if like if Satoko wants to get me, then clearly like it probably says you're an idiot on every single card, and he takes all the cards off of her hand, and then he looks at it and it literally says you are an idiot, like on a 3 separate cards. And then basically like Satoko says, well, if you only took 1 card, then you wouldn't have been an idiot because it would just say you on it or something.
Yeah.
The point that I'm explaining about this scene is that like it shows that like even when like Keiichi feels like he's on top of a thought, like he's like yes, I figured this out and I totally understand the situation now, like he is still at a disadvantage. And that's what I'm trying to like explain, like the thoughts about Shion and Mion is that like Keiichi did like realize that Mion is Shion, is that just at a certain point he couldn't unthink about that anymore, so that which is very fascinating, because that's what I really love about Watanagashi, is that in the whole part of Watanagashi, like Keiichi goes from being like yes, this is totally Mion is totally Shion and Shion is totally Mion, to actually addressing Shion as a separate person, and then readdressing Mion and Shion. Like he goes through all these like cognitive dissonance that he doesn't even understand. That he like thinks of them as 2 separate people and then thinks of them as the same person again.
He
like,
Uminekos
it's
her.
so fun to read, and it is, and it's also like it's also like something that is untranslatable to any other piece of media, like because like he just goes on as this like mental dialogue of being like yes, Shion this, Shion that, and then he goes and then he thinks it's like Mion, it's like Mion doesn't like this though, and then he keeps going, and you're like it's hard for Keiichi, like that's my whole point, like it's this is like like the whole point that like oh god, I was gonna say like Watanabe has such good scenes with like Rena, where like Rena is just like
Yeah.
I and I love the most things about Rena is like the thing that Rena says in the game is that, well, she says like, oh, like, it's your fault, Keiichi, but Mion also didn't make this easy for you. Like, I think a
Yeah.
lot about like that's what I really like about Higurashi, is about like human drama, and like how like simple it is to just go from like, oh, I'm kind of mad about this thing, and like, and like at a certain point, like, it's so not easy to like apologize, and it just
Yeah.
gets snowballed into like a huge thing, and like,
Like Higurashi is totally about the snowballing effect of not communicating right. Because then Higurashi, because of the Hinamizawa syndrome and the paranoia, it just rises the stakes. But in essence, it is a story about miscommunication.
Yeah.
it's a very simple story.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this drama involving Mion, Shion, and Keiichi's perception of them is very proto Umineko gender-esque, I would say. You can totally see like the ladder Ryukishi was climbing to eventually reach Umineko levels of whoa, gender and stuff.
When Ryukishi comes out with his funny trans t-shirt, like trans colored t-shirt, and I just stare at him, and I'm like, Ryukishi, is there something you want to tell us about? But
Ryukishi, the trans friend, let's go.
Yeah.
#1 trans supporter.
also weird man who writes about funny children. This is another thing that I think a lot about Higurashi while I'm reading it, is that like, I think like the reason why I like to recommend Umineko not only is because I love it, but I also think it's like a so much more digestible work that has not as much anime bullshit in like the beginning parts. And then once you're too into it, you won't even care about its anime bullshit. Like, you won't even care that every single like Chester sisters are wearing the weirdest looking dresses, or the head inquisitor has funny looking funny looking
Frills, yeah.
crotch flurs or something. But like, I think Higurashi is hard to stomach if you are not already incredibly sold on the conceptual idea of what this is
Yeah.
going to become.
Yeah.
Is what I think.
Yeah, it's hard to introduce someone to Higurashi if they're not balls deep into the anime community.
Yeah, like, you have to be ready to read about like we're not getting to that part yet, but of course I have the patch to not see naked children. You know,
Love that for you.
Face patch.
Love that. Like, obviously.
and and I don't want to see naked children. Thank you, Ryukishi. You don't have to do this to me. Please don't.
Naked Satoko jump scare.
Exactly.
But you touched upon Rena. I really like Watanabe for promoting Rena from most generic anime girl ever to such a human character, and then Rena just keeps becoming even more of an endearing and true to real life character throughout the arcs. But Watanabe is the arc where you realize, oh, you're not just a cinnamon roll.
Rena has complexity to her, yeah.
Yeah, she really does. Oh my god, I love Rena. She's one of my favorite characters ever. She's so cool.
I love that Rena just has like it's just her own mystery for like until Sumiho Namoshi. It's just like you keep seeing more sides of her until you have like finally get her as a POV character, and it all just kind of clicks, and you're like,
oh,
oh,
aliens.
Aliens.
I mean, every character is a mystery character in Higurashi, actually.
Yeah.
Because
well, that's true. That's true.
think about it. Rena, you don't know about her past, which is, her biggest mystery, and like the absolute world of chaos going on inside her head. Regarding Mion, you don't know about the Shion situation, about all the trouble she has to go through as the head. Satoko, you don't know about she fucking pushed her parents off a cliff. Rika,
A normal trauma that anybody would have.
Relatable, even.
yeah, just regular Wednesday night stuff.
And also, yeah, dealt with lots of abusive stepfathers.
And also, you don't know what it's like to be stuck in a time loop where you're about to die for several thousand years.
Hey, let's not make some assumptions here.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have put words in your mouth.
I know very well what that's like.
Oh my god, wait till I talk about Rika. I have thoughts about Rika. This ties into my thoughts about Burn Castell. Well, Burn Castell Umineko, not Burn Castell and Higurashi. But it ties up to my thoughts about how Burn is such a dummy, and which is a concept that I introduced to Des long time ago when we were reading Umineko. But so yeah, what do everybody else's thoughts on Watanagashi is? I do have more thoughts, but I want to hear what everybody else has to say.
Yeah. Regarding Watanagashi, it's the arc that, in my opinion, stretches the most, or it feels the longest, because there are some segments where it just like I thought I was finishing Watanagashi when Rena, Mion, and Keiichi were having the conversation at Mion's house, or I guess Shion's. It's Mion's, but it was Shion at the time. But then no, it just keeps going, and they go to the underground, and I think, okay, Keiichi's gonna die here, and I can go to sleep. And then no, it just keeps going. He gets tortured, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna die in the torture, and I will go to sleep. It's like 1 a.m. already. And then no, it just keeps going. And then he gets rescued, and there's the post, rescuing scene with the aftermath. And it's like, oh my god, it's 3 a.m. I thought I was finishing the story at 11 p.m. What the fuck?
And then he gets stabbed, and you think he's gonna die.
Okay, he finally got, stabbed. He's gonna die, and we're gonna move on, and I can go to sleep. Nope!
Until he's not.
He lived. He's in the hospital. He's fine.
Maybe it's just a me problem. I should have just gone to sleep, and I would have had a more enjoyable time with it in the morning.
I think it's important that what you get out of Higurashi has a lot to do with what you put into it.
Or what gets put into it for you.
Entire night into it. So.
I've mentioned this before in an episode, but I'm pretty sure the scariest moment in Higurashi for me was a very specific to me moment, because I was reading this during quarantine. And
oh my god, I remember this.
You remember this? So I was just reading the scene where Keiichi is getting tortured in the underground of the Sonozaki thing, and then I just start hearing this something repeating noise, and I'm like, what kind of sound effect is this? And then I think something happens. I think I suspend the game or something, and I just keep hearing the sound effect, and I'm like, what the fuck? wait a minute. Why is the sound effect playing in real life? So then I go to the window, and I realize, oh, that's right. Today we were supposed to go to our windows and applaud the medical workers that are still working during COVID. That's the sound effect, just the applauses on the street. So, yes, a very wholesome moment turned into a kind of scary moment for me reading Higurashi.
Appreciation jump scare.
Appreciation. Yes. So, other thoughts that you guys may have about Watanagashi?
My biggest issue with Watanagashi is how a lot of the characterization that Keiichi has about Mion is actually about Shion, and it just upsets me as someone who loves Mion so much.
And vice versa, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think Horsecam had the same opinion too.
Channeling Horsecam.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Mion is a nice character, but most of her character is in the slice of life part.
Yeah, I also agree. I have a lot of thoughts about Mion and how much I like her as a character. And I want to talk about that a lot once we hit the later chapters. And I think it's really sad because in a way, Shion just kind of steals a lot of time. Basically, your whole understanding of Mion as a character is not her, and that it really sucks in that way, because it's just completely kind of you have to come to a lot of re-understanding of what her whole thing is, that and I do grow to really, really appreciate the thing that they actually give her, which is that her inability to do a lot of things and her cowardness, which is a very weird way to put about any character, but honestly speaking, it's such a perfect thing to have give to Mion, that despite of the fact that she has a lot of power, or people perceive her to be, that she thinks that she has zero control over any situation that she's ever in. And that's a very good characterization. However, it's just very kind of, it's I feel to me, she's the most underutilized character in a way in Higurashi.
She's more of a foil character than a character in itself.
Yes, she's a foil of a
she's
character.
An amazing foil for everyone else in her friend group. But then, all of her spotlight gets stolen.
It's every other... Because, you think that Onikakushi is about Rena, but it's actually about Keiichi. And
Yeah.
then like Rena's chapter is
Tsumi
Horoboshi. But like Mion doesn't get a chapter. You got Rena, actually no, Keiichi, then Shion, then Satoko, then Rika, then Shion again, then Rena, then
Hanyu and then Takano.
Minagoroshi and Hanyu, I guess.
It's
I'd
it's
give it to
Hanyu
Rika.
Takano chapter.
Mion doesn't get a chapter.
So sad. Justice for Mion.
It kind of stinks. Wada Nagashi is like, I feel like there's almost not a lot of replay value because there are some good moments, but like, there's like the moment where Mion like uses her, like she's dressed as Shion, but it's Mion, and she like gets the people from Hinamizawa to help out Keiichi when he's like angers the motorcyclists for stupid reasons, and like there's some good moments, but like the events themselves are covered by Miyakashi, and it's hard to want to go back to it when like there's another version of the story.
That's I think I will talk about this more when we get back to, you know, talking about how this is just, you know, it's too perfect of a question answer arc scenario to the point that I'm like, Ryukishi, it's like you have just literally rewrote the whole chapter again. Like, and
Yeah.
I mean, like it's like I'm like, did you copy parts of this? Like, I don't know. Like it's not very satisfying on a reread. It's just kind of a thing that you want to like.
He was busy drafting Umineko during Mayakashi.
Oh. I thought he was busy drafting Miyakashi while he was writing Watanagashi.
I actually really appreciate like the unique parts of Watanagashi though. Like the relationship that Mion and Keiichi actually do build up is just really like it's not healthy, but it's really nice.
Mion
like,
and Keiichi? You mean Shion and Keiichi?
No, Mion and Keiichi. Like I
In the
think-
beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot about coping.
And it is really sad that like Shion just usurps Mion for like the back half of the chapter and her entire chapter, but I think each chapter has like something unique to bring to it. So I don't necessarily mind rereading them, but the back half specifically is a little rough to get through.
I do also have to say that on another note, I actually really like the whole conversation between Shion and Keiichi when they're going on the date, like the last part of the date where they're like walking around town together. Like I like that conversation a lot. I think that conversation is really fascinating because I think like that's when the whole like I think like as a very good setup, that's where Shion kind of bears her fangs to like, you know, talk about her like very realistic thoughts about like her and her sister's relationship and how that works. And I think it's pretty fascinating, like get to, you know, a peek in her very deranged mind. I have a lot of opinions about Shion.
Yeah, speaking of conversations that are really good in Watanagashi, like the conversation at Mion's house at the end, where it's Shion, disguised as Mion, Keiichi, and Rena, before Keiichi and Shion go on their soul walk together. I don't exactly remember what's talked about there, but I remember it's about like how everyone perceives Mion to like, since she's the head of the Sonosakis, she should be able to basically sort a lot of problems that the people were facing, like helping Satoko and, you know, just the dam situation. And then a lot of
The Watanagashi, like, disappearances.
the Watanagashi disappearances, yes. That, like, everything's also being blamed on them. And it really shows you the confrontational side of Rena, while also somewhat through Shion showing how much perceived responsibility and actual responsibility is on Mion's shoulders at all times without you noticing. It's a really nice scene that shows a different side of all three characters present that you had seen up until that point. It's a really nice scene.
Still think that Shion being like, yeah, because it is I, Mion, I have the demon tattoo. I can show you if you don't believe me. Is like the most Umineko like Beatrice thing that happened in
Devil's
Higurashi.
roulette.
It's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I'm just going to lie to your face and like tell you how you could figure it out, but you'll just take me at my word.
It's very good for
Like,
you.
Oh yes, I will not look into the room to check the corpses.
No, oh my god. Okay, as on my another funny fucking thought. I cannot forgive the fun. Okay, not that I cannot forgive. Ryukishi on subsequently makes his character go on the most wildest fucking tangent. Like my favorite thing in Watanagashi is the fucking crazed tangent that Shion goes on about how much she hates canned food, and it goes on to a story about how her family fucking makes
Oh my
meat canned people during World War II, and then ends with being like, "Yep, that's my family history," and then just me sitting there being like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Shion? That has nothing to do with anything. How did you think that was gonna like what?" Like,
Ryukishi has a very specific trauma that he wants you to know about.
Ryukishi's like, "I cannot use."
I can't
Oh my
believe
God.
that was entirely cut from the anime. Like,
It's such a buck wild scene.
I can because like the Mion Shion switch was completely cut from the anime,
Like,
but like
It's
it's just so random. It feels
fucking
like.
wild to me. Like, it's so wild to me that Yukishi's like, "Ah, yes." Yukishi's like, "This is my mental illness, and I get to pick my hyperfixation, and my hyperfixation is World War II torture, and about the urban legends that came out of it." You mean, okay? The other thing is, I would totally believe like that Japanese military had made canned people meat, like from all the things, you know. A very little known thing about me, just kidding, is that I've lived 10 years in China, which means that I've learned lots and lots of Chinese history, and like insane amount of war crimes that Japan has like done upon to China in World War II. So like it is absolutely fucking totally believable that they made meat cans or whatever the fuck that is. But like Shion brings it up, and like that it's so funny to me because like that is a thread that like Ryukishi kept with, is that like later on Shion talks about how much she hates canned food, and then in the end I think like
What?
in arc 7 they're like, haha, like Shion, you're so silly. Like remember the like I think it's in arc 7 or arc 8. I think it's in arc 8. Like
It's
they're
in
like
arc 7.
yeah, like they're like, haha, Shion, isn't it funny that you're like so fucking scared of like canned food because at one time our relatives scared you at a family party or something? It's fascinating to me. Like
Shion's just out here bringing up her very personal trauma. It's like canned food. Like,
yeah, because
I get it, but
it's so funny because like this is I think like this is like the most like
4chan core.
hilarious to me, like it's hilarious like tangent she goes on to until we hit like Tsumihoro yeah.
Yes. That one arc. Yes.
Which is that arc is the most like that arc is filled with the most insane tangents. Like that is
Because
like
you have both Keiichi and Rena to go on them.
yes. But like this is that's my cool opinion about Watanagashi. What else do people have?
Well,
yeah.
These 10 minutes of discussion about Ryukishi weird tangents about the most sidetrackable ass topics ever has made me realize if Ryukishi plays Honkai Star Rail, he probably looks at stallions like me for real. Because have you done any of the interactable inanimate objects side quests in Honkai Star Rail?
Yes, I have.
Oh my god, have you done the wardrobe one?
Yes, the one you hide in a wardrobe and you go like, bah!
and you go like a downward spiral of fucking pseudo paranoia mixed with fantasy mental.
Yeah, no.
Like-
Cell just went on a complete Natsuhi I'm in a closet vibe.
Natsuhi / Keiichi Nonikakushi / Fisho. Like, Ah yes, I'm in a closet now. This closet feels comfortable. I wonder what wood it's made from. Oh no, I hear footsteps. It's probably the lunch monster who's gonna. I don't know what the fuck Stella was thinking. I don't remember what she actually thinks, but it's like, oh no, someone's gonna get into my room. Maybe it's the customer room service, but maybe it's a monster. I'm gonna jump out of this closet and scare them because that's a thing normal people do.
That is a
What the
well-adjusted
fuck?
behavior that has been acquired over many years.
Why does
No.
that remind me of Diary of a Wimpy Kid? When
Like it's
freaking
like
the main character Greg, he's like he needs to use a phone, but the only phone, because like this is before cell phones or whatever. The only phone is in the parents' room, so he goes in and he's like about to dial the phone number of like the girl he's got a crush on, and then his dad walks into the room and he hides under a blanket, and then the dad just sits there and starts reading a book, and so Greg is stuck and he just tries to like sneak around underneath the blanket until the phone goes off and scaring the shit out of both of them.
It's kind of like that, except
It is like that.
Stell doesn't need a compelling motive to do the weird things she does. Like Stell was preparing to sleep in order to go on a meet with the fucking minister of planet they were on, and then she's just. If you're just in the room and you have the interactable bed to progress with the story, and then if you explore the room a bit, you just realize you can interact with wardrobe, and then you just think, okay, it's gonna give me a regular JRPG, text saying like, oh, it's a nice wardrobe. Guess that means I'm in a really nice hotel. But no, it just sends you on this like pseudo side quest of inner monologuing inside the wardrobe, and there's like 3 side quests like this. There's one for a suitcase that Stell paranoids herself into thinking has a bomb inside, and then
I did that
and
one.
then she's like, I gotta save the train station. And then there's another one where she's just speaking with what the fuck is it called? Like the metal thing that keeps you from going forward. She's just so weird.
It's like a blockade.
Yeah, blockade. It's just so Ryukishi core. The way she just goes on these tangents for no reason.
Oh yeah, no. I deeply wish and believe that there's somebody on the MiHoYo team that actually have read Higurashi and Umineko, because I'm looking at them. If they put
Red Truth and Blue Truth.
Oh yeah, no. There's a Red Blue Truth and Blue Truth reference in Star Rail. They casted fucking Rika's voice actor for Nahida. Like, that is just so
It
ridiculous.
sounds like I need to get into Star Rail.
Anyway, sorry. This is welcome to my Higurashi, my Genshin Impact brain disease. Sorry. Let's continue with what.
Yeah, don't you remember reading the Higurashi arc, Tatari Impact, Watadamashi Rail?
Very
No.
good.
Oh no, I cannot get out of this time loop. If only some trailblazers will descend upon Hinamizawa.
Thank you. Does.
Is that the plot of Outbreak? Not Outbreak, Daybreak.
Daybreak.
Oh yeah, this is the chapter where we first see Takano.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
I still don't
Oh,
believe
yeah.
you that she doesn't have a sprite in Onikashi
She doesn't
1
have a
in any
sprite in
version.
Onikashi.
She doesn't have a sprite.
You could play like 20 minutes.
In not a single version?
Nope,
No.
she only shows up for like one line and is referred to as like the woman waving to Tomitake.
Yeah.
But she has a CG in
She doesn't have a
Onikashi.
sprite not in does she even have a sprite on Watanagashi?
She does in Watanagashi. It's just in Onikakushi.
Yeah.
Well, she definitely does, because Onikakushi, there's a CG where they're explaining like the hands construction worker thing.
But then the CGs only came in the...
Yeah, but like it's with Tomitake.
And then Watanagashi, they go into the storage shed. So she appears regularly in both times. I mean, not regularly, like significantly. in
No,
a
I
single
think
scene.
the time when they're explaining like the hand with Takano is that like that it's like on the steps to the shrine, but it's with Shion and Tomitake, like the day before Watanagashi. which is not at all confusing when the chapter is Watanagashi.
Yeah, what was Ryukishi thinking when he named this chapter?
I like how the first chapter is Onikashi and it continues to come up for the rest of the story, and the second chapter is Watanagashi and it continues to come up for the rest of the story, and then the rest of it is just. We are not expanding our vocabulary here.
Yeah.
I am now reinstalling Onikakushi because I feel like I'm being gaslit.
I think you could play it for like 20 minutes.
Y'all keep talking about Watanagashi. I'm still stuck on this.
I am sorry, but I am correct.
You could just go into the. You could.
It's already 98% done. Okay.
This is ridiculous. Okay, so anybody else have any thoughts on Watanagashi? Watanagashi?
Nope.
It's funny.
Watanagashi is the arc that's held back the most by being a time loop. Everything else after it, like, has done enough character building that you don't need to meet them again. But, like, other than Mion's actual, like, unique characterization to this chapter, there's a lot of just repeating the club games from Onikakushi with just different games. And I don't find it particularly helpful because I'm already introduced to the characters, but I can see why it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also see why a lot of people just, like, get put off by it and drop Watanagashi before it gets good.
I think the Curry Festival is so important for Rika and Satoko because they kind of disappeared in Onikakushi.
I actually do agree.
That's true.
I like the whole curry festival. It's funny.
The Curry Festival is an integral plot point and is also cut from the anime.
It's crazy to me because I genuinely speaking at this point don't remember much of the anime, and I'm just coasting on the weird knowledge that I have of like each of these things and just enjoying the ride. I honestly speaking have zero idea what a good Higurashi adaptation would be like, and I'm like trying to rack my brains to like even like comprehensively like create what, like if I were to like, you know, if somebody put a gun at my head and be like make one, and I genuinely speaking have like there's a lot of things you have to keep to make this work, and then maybe you could take away all the weird child nudity part, or you know.
I've got a crazy idea.
Yeah.
Just make every arc like they did Kai in the anime, and it would work out fine. Like, give it enough time, because Kai is a good adaptation,
They did do,
I think.
yeah. So do anybody else have any other thoughts about Wakashi?
No.
Nope.
Y'all ready to get proven freaking wrong, though? I'm seconds away from the screenshot.
Wait, am I wrong?
You're not getting there. No. There's definite. No, I can promise you she's not in there. I know that for sure.
Okay. I can also promise you she's not in there, but I'm just not confident enough in my own memory.
What? 5 minutes ago you
said no version.
5 minutes ago you were
I could be gaslit into believing that Mio Takano has an Onikakushi sprite for no reason.
Why can't I find it?
I am very weak-willed.
Is it alright if I put it in... I'm gonna put it in scheduling 1, is that okay? I can't find the right channel.
No one will have an explanation. No, that can't be right.
That's Rose Matters Let's Play. Chapter 1 Onikakushi. There she is!
She hacked the game.
Where? What?
She hacked the game to get Takano as a playable character.
Where did you just share this? Is this?
No, I put it in scheduling 1 because I couldn't find the right channel.
What is it in scheduling 1? No. I'm not talking about PS3. I'm talking about original.
Oh, of course it was in the original.
I said every version.
Oh, every version? That's
I didn't think she was in PS3 either.
If it's in the original, that's because they've updated the original. Because the goddamn after party, which always says, "Oh, we finally got sprites for."
Yeah, they literally talk about the fact that they don't have it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's.
For what it's worth, the original has been updated and still doesn't have a sprite for Keiichi.
Yeah, Keiichi sprite is not there.
But I'm pretty sure there's at least one PS3 patch that also doesn't have Takano's sprite, because it's probably a direct port from the original.
That might have been the one I was playing.
Because like they surely had to change something about the code to like make a sprite appear, because in the original a sprite didn't appear. So
there is at the very least a part like 20 minutes into Onikakushi where like either Rena or Mion is like passing by, walking Keiichi through Hinamizawa, and they just offhandedly mention Mio-san because she's not named. Like, this lady with the sprite is not named in chapter 1.
I do remember that. Yeah, that's true.
Like, but she is. You just don't know her yet.
Okay, so we definitely have to split this into 2 episodes. Okay,
Yeah.
Tatari Goroshihen. So we are so this is the third arc. This is the child abuse arc.
Not wholesome Teppei.
This is the Keiichi Joker arc.
This is the bad version of Teppei. This is not my Teppei.
Okay.
There's a good version of Teppei.
Teppei would never do this.
This is the Teppei. This is the Teppei I respect as Teppei, but not a Teppei I respect.
Okay, like this is something that I find really fascinating is that like in this one he kind of hints that like Teppei might be doing like like sexually abusing like Sadako, like there's a hint of it, and that he actually walks back later that I find very like, which I think is a good thing. Like I'm not saying that it's not good. I think it's good that he didn't write that because it's already very like whatever is happening is incredibly horrifying already. I really like Tatari Goroshihen because I want to talk about the fact that like Higurashi writes like children. Like this is not like it's not like, oh, they're high schoolers and they have a lot of agency in their like world, because like when you're like there's a fundamental difference between like a 17-year-old and like a 12-year-old, like even a 15-year-old versus like a 10-year-old. And like how much agency you can have and how much control you can have and how much your voice matters. And like I really, really like Tatari Goroshi because, well, I think like, a lot of people talk about that. Like, well, would Higurashi still be good if it was about a bunch of high schooler students instead of like middle school and elementary schoolers, and then for all the fucking weird bullshit that goes through?
The answer is no, because it's an intrinsic part of the narrative that they are children.
Yes, it's an intrinsic part of the narrative, and that's what I like. Like the thing that I really like is that like I like to shit on Rika because I think she's a dumbass, but like I think there's something really, really obvious in the narrative and how he writes about it is the how of lack of control anybody feels about any scenario, because you're a child, like you don't have any agency, you are not allowed to have any agency, and you have no control over your own life, and that you can't get away from bad abusive situations because you're a 10-year-old. And like that is like incredibly well written in like the Higurashi feeling of like the hopelessness and helplessness that you feel as a person because you don't have any of the tools that can be helpful. Like because like when you're 17 years old, like you can work in a you can work, you can even get a car, like you can drive in America, like,
and people take you more seriously than if you were fucking 10.
And people take you more seriously, and you can look, and and you can look older than you are, but like if you're a fucking toddler, you're a toddler, like
and you also have more strength to defend yourself, you run faster. Like Rika is just actually hopeless.
Baby child.
Yeah, but as you get older, it's hard to convincingly sit on one another's shoulders in a trench coat and pass off as an adult. That's the trade-off.
Pros and cons to each.
Only if you pretend to be a really, really, really tall person.
Do you think that like two 13 or 14-year-olds in a trench coat could like get into a basketball league as like an 8-foot tall like
this is gonna be tested on Vsauce. Like next Mr. Beast video is gonna be about children trying to get put on trench coats.
Mr. Beast.
Also, this is a very random thought for Des alone, but I want you to know, Des, every single time you go to Pom Pom and Pom Pom gets your level up, my friends will yell Pom Pom Mr. Beast because that's the hand.
What the fuck?
Anyway, I'll put.
Okay, thank you.
So yes, so I like. Do people like how like Teppei is written in here? Like,
I like him as a villain. Yeah, I think it's a nice villain. It's really hateable.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a very obviously bad scenario where you're like, man is just evil. Like, it's just really not something you can like excuse about. Like
there are many big challenges in writing a murder chapter like this, because you gotta make the villain so hateable that you are rooting for the motherfucker to be killed. You gotta write the killer so well that it's like it's quote unquote justified for them to like be doing this, because Ryukishi really makes it feel like this motherfucker Keiichi had no other choice but to kill this man, and then you gotta make the whole process really compelling, and like Ryukishi really makes you feel like you're with there with Keiichi, and every time this man messes up, you're like, no, you messed the whole thing. We're gonna get caught, Keiichi, you fucking idiot. and then when he finally gets killed, you're like, yeah, we killed a man. Let's fucking go. And then Satoko, the
You
next.
get gaslit and is thinking he came back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then he comes back, and you're like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? It's really nice.
Atari is the most confusing chapter for me. I literally didn't understand what was going on until someone told me here. Like,
That's
I forget
so
when it was, but like,
funny.
I just did not get, like, I literally thought that what was happening is that Keiichi, like, somehow dissociated so hard that he, like, went to the festival and, like, just hallucinated that he killed Teppei, and then came back and everyone was like, no, Keiichi, what are you talking about? You were with us last night, because they're just so good at giving him an alibi. Like,
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
easiest and like the most simple mystery that When They Cry uses, which is, oh, how can they be in two places at once? The other people just lied.
Yeah.
And you really feel like you're in Keiichi's shoes, even though it's the most basic trick. Like, if Keiichi was in his right mind, he'd be like, oh, they keep repeating themselves saying, you were there, weren't you, Keiichi? They'd be like, oh, they're lying, I have to play along. But you really feel like, what's going on? How is I in two places at once?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, it's already an excusable thing for him not to think about. Well, considering he's in so much stress for having killed a man. But then on top of that, you got the fact that he's going L5, and it all just comes together to make this beautiful paranoia cake.
Beautiful paranoia game.
Beautiful. Oh man, it's the worst color of cake.
Ah, yes.
It's like
Makes you anxious just looking at it.
Tarigoroshi, my favorite paranoia agent episode.
Yeah, okay. So do you know that when you go to like American stores, you can buy those like cakes that like are blue, like it's instead of a red velvet cake, it's a blue velvet cake.
What?
And then you can get like
I can get shiny red velvet
like
at a 1 in 8,000 chance.
Oh yeah, speaking about that, has everybody been playing their Pokemon Sleep?
Yes.
Are you getting a good score?
I
on
don't
Sleep?
get enough sleep.
It's very upsetting because I now can see how bad I actually sleep and play a game while doing it.
Wow.
It's gamified sleeping. It's so funny. Yeah. So I'm putting this in the Furude Shrine.
I haven't been playing it, so I guess you could say I'm sleeping on Pokemon Sleep.
Oh!
You know, I kind of think it might be a sleeper game for this year. But
And the price for the most game goes to...
Don't sleep on this one, Game Freak fans.
Oh my god, that's so Nintendo Direct Core.
It is. I didn't even mean to.
might have actually been what they said in the direct. If you told me that, I would just believe you.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like the most corniest thing possible.
This is Boom Boom the Mad Lad. When they called Boom Boom a Mad Lad in the middle of a Nintendo Direct.
Bad lad.
okay, but they did like light a man on fire for asking for Mother 3. And I took that personally. Like,
And that man was actually me. Dun, 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 dun.
I still have the scars.
Okay, and another thing I really want to talk about Tatari Goroshi is that, like, I love that Ryukishi likes to do this thing. Like, which he doesn't do in, like, Umineko, is, like, the meditation about murder. Like, like, I like the thing that he writes about in the end of the afterwards about Tarigoroshi, about the, wow, I just said Tarigoroshi like a fucking child. About the fact that like murder is hard. Like there's like Ryukishi talks about this is that like murder is hard, killing yourself is really hard. Don't do these things because they're bad. And like instead of being like just like have a weird PSA about it, he goes through the whole process of like describing a murder and how awful it is and how much it sucks. And And also, if we didn't have the amazing murder scene, how could we have the most amazing scene with fucking Mio, the sussest woman alive? It's just such a good scene of like, of just like her being like, oh, how inconvenient are you in the middle of my car? Like, like in middle of the street. Like, it's such a good scene that sets up like, everything. Like, she's so suspicious that like Ryukishi didn't even like pretend that, like, she wasn't even like a, in any other piece of novel you would think like, oh, she's so suspicious, like she must not be the villain. But she is, like, what I mean?
Rereading the car scene in Tatarigoshi, I was literally like, how did we not know? How was it a twist? They tell you it's her.
Like, she's so suspicious.
Like, Tomitake's car is in the back. Tomitake's car is in the back of her trunk now. Yeah. Tomitake's bike is in the back of her trunk. She should be dead. You know she should be dead by now. Like, it literally says 2 demons who have committed murder on this night. Like,
it's because it's not that you don't expect Takano to be the villain somehow, it's that you don't expect her to be a fucking major from a right-wing conspiration politics from World War II. It's like, it's just the magnitude of...
My favorite Ryukishi's like politic thoughts. I have so many of them. Oh, wait till I talk about the whole thing about, like, this is early Ryukishi. We're gonna not talk that much about this right now, but like this is early Ryukishi where his politic brain is like kind of mushy, and like man just talks about Manchurian like it's like not a fucking war crime and not a puppet state that like is literally made by Japan. And I was like, dude, like it's so fascinating to me because like I understand that this is not Ryukishi politics, and I understand like he's also written these, and like the best part about Major Takano is that she's not a weird right-wing person. She just does it because, it's going to further her really cool research. She's like, I will take anybody who back me. Right-wing, fascist, Nazi weirdos. Like, they give me money and make me be able to do my cool research.
Ryukishi be like,
that's...
I need a believable villain that's easy to hate for my story. Oh, that's right. Right-wing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my favorite thing about Irie is that later on you just learn that Irie is just a weirdo who like totally believes in like lobotomy, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty fucking funny. Like, I don't know, I find that incredibly funnily endearing about Irie is that he believes that lobotomy is incredibly cool and base. And then just impeccable thing to write about your fictional character is my take.
They called him a madman.
But yes, this is also when you first introduce to Irie.
AKA the worst part of Umineko or Higurashi. I love him. He's horrible.
Not Irie.
Worst part of Umineko, he's not even in it.
Irie is the worst part of Umineko because I love everything about Umineko.
I misspoke.
Wait, Umineko?
Misspoke.
I know why people would hate Irie. Is it really that bad?
Irie, no,
it's pretty bad.
Irie is my favorite falling down the stairs moment of a character. Because if only he wasn't sexually attracted to a child, he would be such a great character and person.
So true.
I have to gaslight myself to think he's doing it as a bit.
He's not doing it as a bit.
He's not.
Like, he genuinely wants this child that has gone through so much trouble to just live a happy life. But he also just wants to fuck her, so idiot.
Well, maybe he doesn't. He's joking about it. Smiles. I don't know. It makes me so mad.
Your Honor.
Like, I'm not.
Your Honor, he was just doing it ironically and in Minecraft.
But Your Honor, I wanted to fuck children, but not this one.
Your Honor, I massaged her feet sarcastically.
My Honor, what if I was doing a pedophilia, but just being ironic about it?
I was just putting myself in the shoes of pedophiles to better understand how to threaten them.
Yeah,
But Your Honor, I said no pedo. That makes it.
That's what like drives me fucking crazy with like Ryukishi and how he wrote him. It's like I'm like, I wish this doesn't exist. I wish I could just scrub my brains of not knowing that this thing exists.
Well,
It's like,
lobotomy.
yes, exactly.
Hirie is the solution.
He
to
is
his
the
own
solution to
problem.
himself.
It comes full circle.
Yeah, I just like, and like, and like there's such good heartwarming scenes with like Irie, and I love the scene that Irie has with like Keiichi when he's like, when Keiichi comes to him and tells him like, Irie, I think I'm going crazy, and I think I killed this dude, and Irie is like, I know I'm not supposed to condone murder, but like, good job. And like, and like, it's such a good scene because like later on you go to see the same scene that happens again between Irie and Satoshi. You like totally believe, like you totally understand. It's like, oh, this was not the first time that like this has ever happened to Irie, and he totally gets it, and that like, he like, of course he's not fazed by you telling him you did a murder, because that's exactly what Satoshi came to him to do. And like, and I like, if Irie is not a weird pedophile man, I could totally be like, yes, like this is such a perfect dichotomy between these two characters, and how Irie deeply wants this to work out because he like, he's atoning for the things that he hasn't done for like, Satoshi. But instead I can't because I'm too distracted by the fact that this man keeps talking about and he wants to put a little girl in a maid dress.
Yeah, because Irie is already a morally great character by default. Like he heavily believes in this weird medical practice. He has sheltered two murderers at this point. Like he is already in the gray zone. We do not need to put him in the dark zone. It was just so like unnecessary.
I think Ryukishi wrote those parts of Irie as like, look, it's a gag, it's funny, and no one's laughing. Like,
well, okay, I think it's in one of his afterwards that Yukishi goes on this whole story about how he goes to like Angel Mort type like restaurants in like real life, and how he's trying like, and then he goes on to this whole story about how he like films girls' underwears, and I'm like, Ryukishi, I don't need to know this. Please don't tell me about like do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's like that.
No.
It's like
No. And I wish I still didn't.
I don't know if I want to know.
I wish I exactly. This is what I mean. It's like I like and like I am a Ryukishi apologist, but still like Ryukishi, please just don't tell me things I don't want to know. Like you could be a weird freaky man. Lots of people are weird freaky men. Just don't tell me about it. Like I don't want to know. I really deeply enjoy your work. Like
Yeah, I think it connects back to if this one aspect of Irie was removed, I think he'd be a really good character. In fact,
Yeah.
Like if one aspect of Irie was changed, he'd be like an A tier character, and he's
Yeah.
like sitting down in C tier. Like,
Yeah, I think, but even so, I think Irie represents Higurashi very well, precisely because of that. Because if you look very deep and give it a time of day, there's very interesting things there, both in Irie and in Higurashi itself. But it's just like, man, your first impression is so horrible. You could not fuck this up harder. It's just, man, I feel awkward admitting in public that I have an appreciation for
it
you.
takes like 6 impressions for Irie.
yeah, no, it's that is basically the feeling of like reading Higurashi. Is that like I really like this piece of work, but also like I feel like I'm being a weird apologia. Like I'm doing weird
Yeah.
apologia about this.
Yeah, Irie represents Higurashi. I think I have a Twitter post about that.
Love that.
Made in heaven.
Oh my god, Made in Heaven!
Yeah, in Mayakashi, they talk about his reality marble. Like, it's ridiculous, like, that they just do it as a gag the entire story. Like, they play it up so much. Like,
Oh yeah,
I don't get it.
I mean, we haven't even detailedly talking about Angel Mort yet because Angel. Just Ryukishi, weird man, putting your weird man thoughts into your like. Just stop putting your weird man fetish in your weird game, please.
It's the signature bodysuit.
Just write about Cluedo and killing, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Like stick with what you do best. People doing murders and family drama
And child soldiers.
I don't.
And water gun fights.
True.
You say stick to what you do best, but honestly, he does bodysuits really well because both the Seven Sisters outfit and the Order of Purgatory, like Heaven, like the secretaries, like Twanner and Cornelia and Gatarudo, and what the fuck was the other really cool bodysuit that
The Chesters.
there's another one that I'm missing.
The sisters, the Chester sisters.
I've mentioned the siestas. Oh, the fucking the bunny. The fuck siestas. Yes, siestas.
Siestas?
What the fuck?
He's going senile. It's fine.
Yeah, Nanashimai, siesta, and Heaven. Those are really good bodysuits. And I mean, the Angel Mort bodysuit is also really nice. It's just that it's on minors, but the outfit itself.
Well, I mean, it was so nice that Ryukishi decided to put them in his other games again.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's a really fun piece of Ryukishi signature
Yeah,
themes and aesthetics.
it's fascinating. So what else is in the Tarigoroshi chapter?
I just realized that I skipped talking about the difficulty for.
Oh yeah, so yeah, what's the
Tanagashi.
difficulty?
Oh,
Watanagashi, it is lower than Onikakushi, but extremely vicious.
And
I'd agree.
Yeah.
And then Tatarigoshi, the difficulty is the worst.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty great because it's followed by Himatsubushi, which is impossible. So, impossible, not as bad as the worst, in my opinion.
Imatsubushi is like really not that confusing though. Like, there's the like Yamainu parts of it that are hard to understand, but like you don't necessarily need to know that it's specifically the Yamainu to solve it. The only real thing is Rika doing Rika things.
I guess though, if you're not thinking, like if you're thinking along like the general tropes of visual novels, you'd think, oh, these are all like different routes that he's making, and like it wasn't until
Especially back in like 2003.
I don't know. I think people and also like I think we have the retrospective like going in knowing it's a time loop. Like I feel like it's what Higurashi's known for now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's like definitely probably an impossible difficulty.
I think the fact that he admitted it was impossible. It's just him admitting, hey, I haven't given you all the clues that I consider necessary to actually solve the story.
What, by Himatsubushi?
Yes, Himatsubushi.
Himatsubushi, that's the last question arc, so I think that is, like,
Yeah.
all the answers have been revealed by then. All the questions.
The only thing that I think he wanted to do was just like put Akasaka in the story, and then also like build Rika more. Is the only reason I think Himatsubushi really exists.
That's the thing about Tatari Garoshi, is because it's confusing, because in the all-cast review, they say that Shion will be the star of the next chapter, and she'll be the protagonist. And then it's followed up by a completely different character being the...
I have a crazy theory.
Yeah.
Shio Kasaka.
Oh!
Nope, that theory's not going anywhere. It has no legs.
No.
The thing that I actually find really fascinating about the whole writing of like the difficulty standard is that so the other thing that I have learned a lot about while reading like additional readings about the whole thing about this like Tatarigoroshi and like all that stuff. What Ryukishi was thinking while he was making this is that Ryukishi talks about the fact that like he marketed Higurashi as, instead of like solving the mystery, as like solving the it's like solving the tragedy is what he likes to describe it. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. It's solving the tragedy, which is such a fascinating like thing. It's like instead of being like, what is happening in the story, he's asking all of his asking all of his readers to send him what he thinks is the perfect scenario where they can get out of this like horrible looping situation.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually writes, I think it's like what was that tagline he says in Higurashi, like where he was marketing it, basically like it's like one out of like blah 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 like possibility like is the chance of a miracle or something, or chances of like of a good ending, actually comes from the fact that he got like basically like hundreds of like letters from like people who like wrote back to him about what they think like it should happen, and then only one person answered it completely correctly. and like that is
Oh.
what he is actually referencing. I think that's like a very fascinating history about like how Ryukishi decides to market what he thinks of like his work, because I think that for the longest time he didn't know what to like call his work and not know how to like market it, and he's just like, please read my work, and then finally he's like, oh, it's a tragedy story about solving the tragedy. It's about defeating, like finding the one fragment of good thing that's happening, like, and like that is what I think a lot about what he is describing. Like, okay, so what do I think his difficulty thing is referring to? So like, I think like it is very easy for, I guess, like retrospectively to think of like difficulty means how difficult it is for the viewer to solve this, and that's basically what like Umineko like difficulty is. They tell you like, oh, this is how difficult it is. Like, parts of me, this is my cool reading on this, is that I think like when they say difficulty, I like to imagine that instead it's not about the person who's reading it, but it's about how difficult it is for the characters to have solved it. Like, as in, like, how close or far they are from being able to save, like, to be able to get to the good ending.
So then
like,
why would Himatsubushi be impossible?
Because Akasaka has no fucking way to reason out that Rika is a fucking time looper.
I guess.
Yeah, because...
Yeah.
Because I think, like, Tsumi Horoboshi has, like, a really low, like, difficulty level, I think.
I remember the text just says, the difficulty level is easy. You can just enjoy the clowns milling about. It's so funny.
Yeah.
So sarcastic.
Actually, it's 0.
Yeah, and I think like that is my very cool. That's my very cool two cents about what I think the difficulty level means. I think it's how far away are they from actually being able to get out of this fuckery, and I think like the first 4 is incredibly difficult because they're incredibly off the mark. Like the main characters in the story are incredibly off the mark, and
Rika also isn't helping because like Rika helps in the last 2 arcs.
I still have more thoughts about Tatari Goroshi. I love the mindfuckery setup of the ending of Tatari Goroshi Hen.
So good.
I love it so much. Like, it is the kind of feeling that I could never get back, that I want to be scared shitless by a story like that. Like, I feel like when you get to the end of, like, when you get to the middle of Tatagori Shihen, you're like, I kind of understand where their story is going now. Like, I understand, like, this is, like, a kind of, like, a weird time loop. Maybe it's not, like, but, like, horrible things happen every time and somebody goes crazy. Like, you're getting comfortable. And, like, for the ending of Tatari Goroshihen to open up underneath you, like, a gigantic fucking hole, then it's just like, oh, Iria is dead. Also, there's dead bodies everywhere, and you're like, what is happening? Like,
and then at the point you're not even sure if the whole town is real or not.
Tatari Goroshi is when Ryukishi says, you're in the deep end now and you forgot your floaties.
Yeah, no. Ryukishi truly is the the person who drops the child into the deep end. It's like, have fun, kid. It's I like
or
that.
Sadako.
Or Satoko.
And then you get the creepy CG with Keiichi at the end too, like the whole recording thing. It's so creepy. Nothing makes sense anymore.
So spooky.
Very, very.
I think that like Tatari Goroshi has like some of the best like narrative like guidance of like kind of guiding how the reader is thinking about things as it's going along. Because I remember like when I was first watching the anime, which not the best experience, but still there. I specifically remember being like, okay, so like Takano and Tomitake are dead, Keiichi cursed them, but like that's not how that works. That's absurd. He can't just do that. That's not a thing. And then he does it to Irie, and I'm like, well, but that didn't happen before, so like I don't know, like what's going on here? And then just the denouement of that whole storyline of Keiichi thinking he can curse people.
Yeah.
That can only happen in fiction. That would never, like, it would never line up that well. But just cursing the entire village that, like, kind of, like, rejected Satoko and everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then they, like, it's just really good at guiding the reader to, like, think the way Ryukishi wants you to think necessarily. Like,
yeah, it's also the introduction, I think, of the second set of footsteps.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
No, the second sets of footsteps happen as early as back as the first.
And wait, did the second set of footsteps? No, they do it in Onikakushi.
I think there's a very small amount in Onikakushi.
Oh, you're right. They're definitely in Onikakushi. Sorry, but I just remember vividly how it seemed like there was something malicious following Keiichi this whole time, and before I went through the question arcs watching the Let's Play, and then I got all the games to play the answer arcs myself. But I cowered and I chickened out. I could not. I skipped part of Tatari Goroshi.
Really?
It was getting too intense for me.
Oh.
Yeah, I was also gonna say we didn't even talk about Des's favorite monologue, 15 seconds, and about how easy it's gonna be.
So good. Or, 1,500 seconds.
1,500 seconds, and how easy it is for a person to kill in 1,500.
1,500 seconds is such a good scene. It's like a top 5. Like,
For royalty-free music, Dancer 7 goes incredibly hard. It's not the best OST ever. If it wasn't tied to such a good moment, I think I'll just pass it off as an awful piece of music.
It's done incredibly, like, I just, like, that's what I mean by, like, the meditation on murder that Ryukishi does such a good job of. Like, he really gets into a person's mind and being like, yes, this is the logistics. But also, like, it's just so flawed because, like, my favorite thing about, murder logistics between, Keiichi and later on Shion, because Shion in a way is such a perfect, funnily coiled, like reflection of Keiichi, because, like, meanwhile, you're like, Shion is just 100 times more competent of a murderer than Keiichi is. And then the best part about this is that later on you get to see how Satoshi kills Teppei, and you're like, Satoshi also thought harder than
not Teppei. Teppei's
could have
wife.
possibly did.
Yeah. Well, but we should get into Himatsubushi because we're at 2 hours.
Oh yeah, okay.
I do have one thing I want to say, and it's just understanding the fact that Takano is in the middle of, like, faking her own death to commit genocide on the entire village. To ascend to godhood in her own mind.
Yeah, doing incredibly normal shit.
And she's just like, you know what, no, actually, I also hate Teppei Hojo, and just hides the body in the middle of her, like, war crimes.
Wait, well, okay.
That's how I've read Tatari.
Well, now we could talk about this. Do we think who rehides the body? I thought it was
Oh, go ahead.
I think it's don't people not agree that it is just it's done by Rena and
it is.
I think it is implied that it's done by Mion.
By the Sonozakis,
Like,
yeah.
I agree. I say Mion and the Sonozakis.
Because then they do the exact same thing. They do the exact same thing later in another arc.
Mm-hmm.
In Sumi Horoboshi when Rena kills Rina.
Yeah.
I like how Keiichi didn't fool anyone. Mion and Rena and the whole town. The whole town is in on it, of course, because they like Keiichi. They want to protect Keiichi, and they hate Teppei. So they all have to work together to fix his flawed murder plan.
But also, my favorite thing about that scene is just like Satoko standing there being like, what are you fucking talking about, Keiichi? No, I'm not that happy that you killed my uncle. Stop asking me about it. Jesus Christ.
I really like the background, like, backside of the chessboard storytelling that happens in Tatari, because there's so much that we don't see that is just implied. Like, the implication that because we know that Keiichi is talking to Shion even on a first reading. Like, that's pretty well implied, I think. When he calls Mion to tell her, like, hey, can you take care of Sadako? For Watanagashi. So you have that. You have him talking to Shion. You have Shion being like, damn, guess I should really, like, make sure that someone that Mion cares about doesn't get, like, Onikakushi again this year. Can you get, like, hey Mion, can you, like, go hide the body? Like,
is that
that is good Shion development that is just never, because Shion has to tell Mion to, like, actually get the Yakuza to move the body, if that's the case. Like,
Are we sure that's Shion? I always thought that was just Neon.
I always thought that was a.
I'm very sure that the Shion who's like, Satoshi called me a year ago is Shion.
Satoshi wouldn't call Shion. He hated Shion around that time.
Well, he'd call Mion, and Mion picks up the phone in or Shion picks up the phone acting as Mion in Mayakashi, I think.
Well, okay, I was also gonna say this is my personal take about what I think the person who picks up that phone call from Keiichi is Mion. And the reason why I say that is because technically speaking, both Mion and Shion like picked up the call from Satoshi, because the whole scene of Akashi is that Keiichi, what the fuck am I saying? Satoshi calls Mion. And then Mion is like, "Oh wait, could you wait for a second?" And then gets Shion on the line because Mion wants Shion to have this conversation. So Shion has this conversation as Mion with Satoshi, and that I like. There's a thing that I really like about like Mion and Shion is that they actually mention this, is that like we live such inseparable lives that we have told each other everything about our life experience. Anything one of us experience is a shared experience between the both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to imagine that, like, in Mion's mind, that is a real conversation that happened to her because it is a shared experience between the both of them.
That's actually really interesting. I do have, if we're talking about the solution to Tatari Goroshi, though, a long time ago, Des said something interesting that has never been elaborated on.
Oh, I'm excited.
That Keiichi does not have the brainworms in this chapter, in his words. And you said you'd explain it later, and that chance never came. So I do think that both Satoko and Keiichi are at some level of Hinamizawa syndrome. Keiichi doesn't die at the end of the arc, though, so that's kind of...
I said
he does,
didn't,
but it takes like 8 months.
I said he didn't have Hinamizawa syndrome in Tatari Goroshi?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that an interesting take?
He said that he was, like, of his right mind.
Des disagrees with past Des.
No, I would like to know what I was cooking. This sounds interesting.
So would I.
Because this sounds like something. Sounds like one of those incredibly intricate theories that I have thought like 2 years ago. But like, yeah, I just can't remember all the details now. Like, I'm sure it made sense. When did you listen to this? Like, what was the episode?
I don't know. It was before I was on the podcast.
You've been waiting for your chance ever since.
It sticks out in my mind.
like claiming
Isn't it one of
Keiichi.
those like the episodes where we watch the anime together? Oh my god, I remember when we watched
this is not in the Dean log.
No, I was gonna say my favorite take that I was watching when the Dean log is me being like, God, I hate this fucking chapter, and Des is like, no, why would you hate Tatari Goroshi? And I was like, I think Keiichi is fucking stupid. Who does he think that he, like, what, like, he's like so arrogantly dumb.
Because you never read the VN. You bore witness to the worst version of Keiichi. Like, fucking anime Keiichi is horrible.
This is very funny.
I think, but I've been trying to think about that. Like, how the fuck am I claiming Keiichi is not in Hinamiza syndrome in the most paranoia arc ever?
I don't know.
Maybe you meant L5.
Did you mean something else when you said brainworms?
He said specifically Keiichi does not have the brainworms in this chapter, and that's why I remember it.
Maybe brainworms are a good thing?
Those are some exact wording.
Because, like, he starts...
Wait, I figured it out. Wait, it's because Keiichi isn't scratching his neck. He's not L5.
I can get behind that kind of, because he doesn't like go L5 at any point in the arc, but he's definitely going like paranoia brain. Like,
he doesn't think he has worms under his skin.
No,
because
I don't mean this in the way I'm saying it. I think Keiichi is specifically predisposed to murder to someone like Teppei. Like, I could see it.
That could also be the case. I think I somewhat remember my line of thought, because in every arc, my line of thought is, okay, Keiichi starts developing the syndrome because he goes outside the town for a couple of weeks to go to a funeral. So he starts developing it. And then I had this whole list of things that we have seen that could trigger the development of L5. Like I made this whole list. I think it was something about feeling. Fuck! I need to find the document. I had a whole list. I had this whole thing scientifically observed.
I have a piece of evidence to the theory that he does not have the brainworms, though.
Okay.
And that's that. I think it's Rule X of Higurashi is that one person succumbs to Hinamizawa syndrome.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a Shakespearean explanation. It was a Doylean one. I think that's how you describe the two kinds of explanations.
I think when they say
What?
one person, they mean a person.
Yeah, I know. But
Yeah.
I don't think there's a chapter where explicitly two people develop it.
Satoko and possibly Keiichi and Tatari. But
Yeah, that would be the only exception.
Oh well, I
What
mean,
about
Neo has it the whole time.
Watching I still have not read Matsuri Bayashi. I need to get around to it. In the anime, it's just kind of brushed aside at the last second, and it feels like Tomitaka is just trying to like make her not accountable for her actions by saying that she has L5, because her like neck scratches aren't that bad. They're like she's been running through a mountain for like 20 hours, like, and so I didn't think that she had it, but she very well might.
Honestly, if I ran into mosquitoes in Hinamizawa, I would go L5.
Oh my.
Des, are you okay? Are you having like a...
I did find the document. I will simply screenshot one of the pages from it because I think it's very funny. I do not have time to get into it, but
One day we'll make a whole episode about it, Des.
like, look at this shit. This is the kind of gymnastics I was going on. Like, what the fuck was I cooking with this? Look at this shit. It goes on. It's like a 24-page document.
I love that.
Did the virus reach the brain?
Yeah, it makes sense. I promise.
Okay. I think do you want to close out this episode, since we actually did record for 2 hours and I don't want anybody to edit a 2 hour long podcast.
Yeah, please.
Mm-hmm. It will not take long to take care of the attention span killing chapter next time. Wait.
Okay, today we'll just end here. Only talk to 3 arcs in total. Like we can totally milk the shit out of this. So that is
Next time we'll talk about 2.
Yeah.
And then the next time we'll start doing 1 per episode.
Okay.
I could talk for 2 hours about Sumiho Boshi.
Yeah, looking forward to more episodes to come. Hopefully we'll be able to actually record more episodes and more consistently coming next week to talk more about Higurashi, because God, we haven't even talked about all the other Angel Ward scenes that will be coming up.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
While you wait for the next installment of this 2 episodes spanning Mushroom Thoughts post-reading Higurashi VN thing we're doing. You could check the other Furude Shrine we've done, where we actually tier list all of the arcs. I think in that episode there's me, Yansei, Danon, Horsegam, and I think that's it. It's a really fun episode. I think it's one of my favorites. So I think it's a good thing to munch down while we wait for the next episode.
Okay, so everybody say goodbye to the crowd.
Hey, goodbye.
See ya.
Bye.
Nipa.
Bye.
Nipa.